everyone, it's Mia from Mia Bell Natural Beauty Brokers. Welcome to another Small Business Masterclass where every month industry experts and champion brands share their top tips to create success for yourself and your business. Now, you guys, of course, when we set out on any business venture, we have huge dreams of what it could be and where it could go. But how do you prepare yourself for the big show? How do you get your small business that you may be showing at a craft fair to big box? How do you make those big steps to prepare yourself for that next level? But you don't have anybody to ask. Most people typically don't share this insider information, but I have a real big treat for you guys this month. We have Devin Donaldson of the Optimist Co. Devin's optimism was the inspiration and motivation for her line of natural cleaning products that only use recognizable ingredients. Starting small at a local farmer's market, she found a method of growth to build a brand worthy of large retail attention on a small business budget. You guys, isn't that great? The Optimist Co. cleaning products are now inspiring chemical-free cleaning and making this everyday task happy. Devin, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So Devin, you have experience with big box knocking at your door, and I know, seeing your journey with the Optimist Co., that you have literally taken your company from your kitchen to mass retail, at least in some level, you know, here and there, and growing it. So I would love for you to share your story with us, if that's possible.
Absolutely. So I started out making products literally in my little cottage kitchen, and I was invited to do a farmer's market with these products. And originally I needed the products for myself. I had an asthma attack and I knew I couldn't rely on what was labeled green out there, and what I needed wasn't available. So I started to make my own products, not really with the idea of having a business in mind. But from there, I started to get questions from family, from friends, and from people in my community kind of were hearing about this because the products were working so nicely. So I was invited to do a farmer's market, and this was an amazing opportunity. So that's sort of that idea of what's your minimum viable product. I had 6 weeks from the time I was invited to do a farmer's market until it opened. So I didn't have a lot of time to make decisions. So I quickly made a few initial choices on my kind of product branding. And then from there, I was able to launch at the farmer's market. So that was sort of actually the best thing to have happened to me from a business point of view, because I had a short frame of time. I didn't get to overthink. That's sort of my first tip, is what is that minimum product you need to do? And then from there, you want to start to get in front of your first 100 customers. And for me, that was a farmer's market. So I had initial branding. I had a label that my label maker made me. I didn't have a logo to start. I had the idea for the business name. And then from there, I got to meet my customers and be in front of them, and I started to get feedback. So I was inspired by juicing companies and put all of our ingredients on the front of our labels. And I got to talk to the customer though and say, hey, does this make sense to you? Do you like that the label has the ingredients on the front of the label? And they all said yes, they loved it. So I knew that that was kind of a trend that I could apply to my products, but I tested it. And from there, I got to tell my story and see what parts of my story really resonated with people. And that, again, you know, went into some later decisions that we made. And so when the farmer's market season was over, I had to start to think about what's next for my business. I have all these direct consumer relationships. So from there, I built a website. I didn't have a website my day one, but I got all the emails. And so I had this email list and no website. So I threw up a website. I used Shopify, which was a great resource. And I had to start to learn these things at stages at a time. So kind of having that first initial short launch gave me actually that amazing opportunity to test my idea, test my product. You always wonder, are people going to get it? Like, do they like this idea? Like, are they going to like it? And I used that feedback to launch a website, to start making a list of wholesale accounts.
Devin, that is incredible that you did all of that market research right then and there. And that is a very important piece of refining your pitch, refining your messaging. And I cannot believe that you were just in it, like from the beginning with your first 100 customers. And that's so smart. And that's something that people overlook because they have that urgency of sales. We got to move this. And oh my gosh, if it doesn't sell, I feel like I'm rejected. But you look beyond that. And I really think that's something that other brand owners should take to heart, is refine your messaging when you're really small. Get it
Yes.
down, because you're going to need a really strong message, a really strong brand story when you go to big box, right?
And these decisions can be expensive. So if you think about your labels, experiment to see what works when you're doing runs of 100 labels, not when you're doing runs of thousands of labels, and what resonates with the customer. And that feedback is really essential, because that means that you're flexible too and you're listening. And that's how I develop all of my products. A great example of that is with our wholesale accounts. We have a second scent, and we'll be coming up with a third scent for our all-purpose cleaner. And that's based on the feedback of our wholesale accounts who want to fill out the product shelf and they want a certain look. But we didn't launch with 3 cents to begin with. We had our initial line, and now it's evolving based on our wholesale customer feedback.
And actually, I think this segues into your second tip, which packaging is the first date. So make it count.
Yes. So that helped me. I'm not a branding and packaging expert. My degree is in operations and supply chain management. So I'd much rather talk to my vendors. That's comfortable for me. You start talking about branding, I'm like, whoa. So it helped me to think about branding as dating and kind of like going on a first date. So when my product's on the shelf, right, the customer hasn't used it. They don't know if they love it. They don't know if it's a quality product. All they can tell is what it looks like. So the first question I ask, and kind of what you think about as date, is how do you want to make the other person feel? What's your vibe? Like, what energy do you give off? For me, I knew moms were having a really overwhelming time, like myself, finding what is green. It was really confusing and overwhelming. So I wanted to develop a product that made you feel at ease and happy, and that you could trust it. This is safe and green, and it gives you that really relaxed energy and happy energy, because I'm a happy person. So my product should be happy too. So then the next part is you have to tell your story, and you want to have enough of your story that your date, right? Someone can tell someone about you, right? So you want to give just a little bit of information about yourself, enough that's sort of your little elevator pitch. So if someone saw my cleaning product on a counter at their friend's house and asked about it, what's that little blurb that you want them to be able to say about you and everything? So that's sort of like your elevator pitch, but kind of what you want to be talked about after the date and stuff. And then from there, your customer needs to be able to contact you again, right? You need to continue the relationship. So there was some basic information with my website and social media and that sort of thing on the label. And the last bit is that valuable information. So that's diving a little bit deeper. And so for me, that's really our ingredients and that educational component, that the ingredients are on the front of the packaging. And that's sort of a little bit diving deeper. And I wanted people to identify it as safe really easily. So that was sort of like a little bit added layer to the product. So it's all about energy. They can contact you again, talk about you in a good way, and that little bit of added info for me for product design.
And Devin, I know that people have come back to you, at least from when we had our chats, that people have come back to you in an instant saying, we love the look of your packaging. And coming from the sales end of things, it has to look good on the shelf. It has to be enticing on the shelf. And that makes all the difference. If someone is choosing between two similar brands, two similar product offerings, they're going to select the one that has their branding a little bit more put together and that showcases better on the shelf. So what experience do you have with that aspect of it?
Yeah, I think having really strong branding has opened opportunities from a retail standpoint as well. Like I can go into a different type of store, different kinds of stores. The products are really sold well in beauty stores, home stores, and because of the packaging looks bright, it looks colorful. Some stores buy it because the color scheme matches their store, because it has a beautiful color story as well. And that is all thanks to my design help from Claudia. And so if you're not like a designer like me, like there would literally be stick figures on the label if I was designing the label. It'd be little stick figures being like, clean with me. But I partnered with somebody who really understood design. Like we thought about what is next. We looked at what was available in the market, what we didn't like about it and what didn't resonate with us, and then what the opportunity was. So we kind of had, our vision evolved and we tested it and everything. And not the design hasn't changed that much, but we're already always thinking about what's next. Where is it going? As we add new products now, we did a line at the glance so we could see what all the colors look like, as we bring in different types of like a secondary lines we're working on as well. But how does that tell the whole story? And what does it look like all together?
Now, your third tip, actually talks about the next bigger component of being ready to go to the next level. And that is building relationships. And I'd love for you to share your insight on that.
Absolutely. So to grow your business, you need to often increase your production. And if you're making a physical product selling on a store, there's a lot of complications that can go into that. So your lead times, your production costs, like, when do you have to pay for what, when, how are you going to scale? So the way I've sort of managed this is to lay a groundwork of relationships so that as I grow, I can make a phone call and literally say, hey, we need to scale. We got the order that we were hoping for, and let's roll. And we're ready to go. So for me, that has started with an initial bottling plant. And then as it grows, though, there's minimums at other facilities that could be a great facility that I can't reach yet. But I already have contacts. I have the information. They have all of my information. They've started to look at the recipes. I know if they can make it or not, if there's any problems, and what all the pricing is. So as stages grow, I can make those phone calls to grow with the brand easily. And it's not like I'm contacting them for the very first time and they have to start from nothing with me, because that would be too slow. And also these relationships can really become valuable as you try to scale with shorter constraints. Like my label maker, I absolutely adore. There's times that we have met in parking lots, handing off labels because I had to, get something turned around really fast. They've been so accommodating. They're your biggest cheerleaders and fans because they like to see you grow as you grow. So that's my main tip, is to establish relationships. Where are you going to source from? Where are you going to produce? Who's going to help you get to that next level? And how do you build those relationships now? You'll have all your pricing you need then for scale. And you can kind of look at all of that to make those decisions early so you can respond much faster down the road.
You're right. Scaling is all about planning. And I know that it's hard for some makers when they come into this niche, which is eco lifestyle, it is a very hot and happening segment of the industry. People want in, and it is growing quickly. And also if you come in with something amazing that people want, you're going to scale fairly fast, and it all comes down to planning. And I think you share something critical, which is start your planning at least to what you foresee could happen, and start at least having that Rolodex that you can call upon, your people to call upon when it's needed. Not only that, but, your sales strategy, which is tip number 4, also feeds into growing into the next level. So I'll let you kick that one off.
So one thing that helped me to think about was what type of seller are you? So I'm a relationship seller. I love to build relationships. So I approach retailers that I can build a relationship with. I try to wow them with products. So if a retailer asks for samples and everything, I send them a whole bunch because they often share desks next to other people in other departments, and you just never know. So I want as many people at that retailer, Team Optimist, as I can, right? Because the buyers are all talking to each other. And if I'm in a store, even if it's a small boutique, I want the whole store, whoever shows up at work that day, excited about my products. So that if someone has a question, they know how to answer it. They know my story. So that takes a little extra time to build those relationships. But I have technology that I use to help me manage it. It's all set up for myself. So as I build relationships, I'm able to auto set the next call, the next email, the next follow-up. And that's been really helpful for me to grow. And from that, I'm able to set my sales goals. So, how many individually owned stores do you want to get? How are you going to get there? What's your strategy? Where are they located? And so for me, I develop call lists from like-minded sort of products. And I look at, where are they sold and everything, because I don't know Atlanta, right? So I want to know where like-minded stores are sold. What's the best stores? And I often talk to those other business founders because we're not competing. We have similar product. We have a similar customer, but we don't have a competing product. And so sometimes they're your best advice to get an intro. A nut-free chocolate company was my introduction to a distributor I have. And because their customer is very ingredient aware and very savvy, so they introduced me to their distributor, and it kind of grew from there and stuff. So having those relationships with fellow business founders as you're growing really help.
It is just a great place to start. And I love, Devin, that that's where you started, and that's why you're where you're at, and that's why you're going in a certain trajectory. So what do you foresee is next for Optimist Co?
So that's the big next step for us, is expanding our independently owned store base, our regional stores, and then continuing the conversations with some of the larger stores that have reached out to us.
And Devin, I know that up until this point, you have done your own cold calling. You're the gal that has gone into the stores and sold your product in. Is there any advice that you can share with brand owners that are watching right now, how to get over those sales jitters? Because without sales, you don't have a viable company and you can't grow it. So what is your big piece of advice?
So I like to look at my potential store people as people. They're just, if they love your product, you're doing them a great service, because that's a product that could do really well in their store, and then they're making money then, and their customers' needs are met. So it can be really overwhelming, but if you look at it as building a relationship with somebody, someone that has your like-minded vision for products, because that's what they're carrying in your store, then it's a lot less intimidating. And as we grow, I'm like, do I need to bring in an account rep now to help me with some of these things? But that initial call from me, that they know they can always reach out to me then, they have that point of contact, and they know that as you grow, you still have that personal relationship. So if they ever had a problem, they know they can reach out to me. So don't be intimidated. Just really kind of walk in the door and practice with a friend or another business owner. Pick a couple stores to try, and then refine your vision. And you can always bring someone to help as well. I have a friend that runs a business, and she had a friend that's been a successful entrepreneur come with her and walk the stores, and she went to like 10 with her, and she refined her pitch, and now she can go into anywhere and she feels confident because she got that instant feedback from someone she trusted.
That is amazing. Bring a buddy with you, bring someone that can definitely help you get over the jitters, gosh, and sometimes it is a team effort, do what you got to do, you guys. Devin, that is fantastic. I want to thank you so much for spending the time with us today, sharing all of your advice, and also just an inside look at really what it does take to at least prepare for those next steps for going into those mass retailers. And I'd love for people to be able to connect with you outside of this interview. Where can they find you and the Optimist Co?
So our website is theoptimistco.com, and we're on Instagram at The Optimist Co. So if you ever have questions about your branding, like, hey, how does this look? Message me your questions, and I'd love to see what you're making.
Devin, again, thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing all these nuggets of gold with our audience. You guys, if you found this interview to be super helpful to you, please go on ahead and give it a like. Share it with anyone that you feel would get some great insight out of it. If you're not already subscribed to our newsletter, please do so. I will go on ahead and add the link below, as well as the links to all of Devin's handles, website, and also hashtags. That way you can follow her there. But make sure you are subscribed so that you don't miss out on next month's masterclass, where we will be sharing some more amazing tips to create success for yourself and your business. Thanks you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you next month. Bye.